Now let's look at how we can edit an existing blog post. OpenY is preloaded with several example blogs to illustrate the functionality and for you to try this out on your own. You can edit or remove the blogs as you wish. There are a few ways you can find and edit blogs. The first way is directly through the content management system, sometimes referred to as CMS. You can see a list of all of the blogs on your site by logging into the OpenY CMS by adding /user/login at the end of your URL. This takes you to the login page for content editing. For the OpenY demo site, the login username is admin, and the password is OPENY without any spaces. Once you have logged in, click on Manage at the top of the page, and then click on Content. This is a list of all of the sample content in OpenY. Next, we want to filter this list to just see the blogs by clicking on Content Type and selecting Blog Post. Then, click on the Filter button. If you have many blogs on your site, you can search for a specific one by typing the title into the text field above Filter. Let's search for blog posts with food in their title. Then, click on the Filter button. Here is the Mood Boosting Foods blog post. Click on the Edit button on the right to enter the content editor. But before we start editing this blog, I'm going to show you another way to find and edit blogs. At the top left corner of the page, click on Back to the Site. Next, in the site navigation, click on the link that says Blog. Mood Boosting Foods is the top blog post on this page. Click on the Mood Boosting Foods title to see the blog post. Because you are logged in as a content admin, you can see the three buttons near the top of the page that say View, Edit, and Delete. Click on the button that says Edit. This will bring you to the same content editing page we saw previously. Let's start with a brief overview of everything on the content editing console. Then we will go into more detail on how everything works. At the top is the title. This is what displays at the top of the blog post and is what appears in the list of blog links on a page. Next, a blog must be associated with at least one location. Multiple or even all locations can be selected. Next is the category, which you saw displayed earlier at the bottom of the thumbnail on the blog listing page. If we expand the Style section, we can select what displays when this blog is in a list with other blogs. If photo card is selected, then an image can be added to the blog to display as a thumbnail, such as we saw in some of the examples on the blog page. Mood Boosting Foods is an example of a photo card. A color card will display as a colored square on the blog page, as you can see in the Don't Let Summer Sneak Up on Your Family blog post. Under the content area, which we can expand by clicking on it, is where an image can be added. This image will be used as the thumbnail icon for the link to this blog, and this image will also display at the top of this blog post. Below the image, with the title of description, is the Wysiwyg text editor. Wysiwyg stands for What You See is What You Get. We will explore the Wysiwyg text editor later in this tutorial. At the bottom, under the heading of Content, we can add other paragraph components to this page, such as a banner or a list of other blogs. We will review all of the paragraph types in other tutorial videos. Finally, at the bottom of the content editing area is where we can add sidebar content by clicking on the sidebar area title to expand this section. We can add related content such as other blog posts. Under the heading of Content is another place where we can add more paragraph components to the page in the sidebar. At the bottom of the blog editing page are some buttons. The first says Save and Keep Published. If we want to make any changes that we have made on this blog appear live on the site almost immediately, we would click on Save and Keep Published. If we select the drop-down arrow and click on Save and Unpublish, it will take our blog offline so that customers can't see it, but we can still access it through the content editor if we want to make more changes before publishing it again. The Preview button allows you to see your changes without publishing the content for customers to see. Clicking on Delete will remove the blog from your site entirely. On the right-hand side of the content editing page are more options. The first is where it says Published, and this tells us that the page is live on the site. There is also information telling us when the page was last saved and who made the changes. If desired, a note can be added to the revision log. Here you can keep a list of notes of the changes you have made so you can remember them later. For example, if we fixed a typo, we can type Fixed a Typo here before saving the page. Then, later on, if we edit this page again, we can see our notes from previous changes that we have made or that other content editors on the site have made. Under the Revisions area are more advanced settings under each title bar. I will cover most of these settings and options briefly, but but many of them will have their own tutorial video that goes into more details. Leaving all of the settings as default will cover the majority of needs for most people. Under meta tags is the ability to add page title descriptions and keywords for search engine optimization. We will go deeper into search engine optimization, also called SEO, in another tutorial. Rabbit hole settings define what happens if a customer enters your site directly on this blog post. For example, if they received a link from a friend via email or text. The default settings allow anyone directly visiting this URL for this page to be able to see it. Simple sitemap is how you can let search engines such as Google know if you do or do not want them to list this page when people search this topic externally. The default setting will allow Google to find this blog post. Under scheduling options, we can set a date and time for when we want this blog to become available on the site and if we want it to become unavailable at a specific time. This is useful if you want to write many blog posts all at once and only have one new blog appear on your site per week. Further, this can be useful if a blog post is tied to a specific promotion or marketing campaign you have set to run at a certain date and time. You can set the schedule and the blog will auto-publish or unpublish on the site for you. Leaving these fields blank by default will result in the blog becoming available as soon as it is saved and published. Under URL path settings, you can either allow OpenWide to create the URL for your blog based on the title you created, as you see here for Mood Boosting Foods, or you can uncheck Generate Automatic URL Alias and create your own URL path. OpenWide will auto-generate URL aliases for you by default. Authoring information will tell you when this blog was created and who created it. This can be overwritten if you need to change the author or date stamp for any reason. Under Promotion Options, you can set this blog to appear at the top of Latest Blog Posts component that is placed on the homepage during a default OpenWide installation. If the homepage blog component is changed, then clicking on this checkbox may not have any effect. We will discuss homepage blog customizations later in this tutorial. Next, you can also force this blog to always appear at the top of a list of blog posts even as other new blog posts are created. This can be useful if you want to create a blog about what to bring to camp this summer, and have it always appear at the top of your blog posts for your camp location, even as new blog posts are created. Finally, if we want to change, edit, or add new categories for blog posts, we can do this in Taxonomy under Site Structure. In the top navigation of the content editor, click on Structure. Then click on Taxonomy. Then, next to the blog category, click on List Terms button. Here you can either edit the names of existing blog categories or create a new blog category. If you've made changes to a blog post and you don't want to save them, simply click Back to Site at the top of the page.